Chapter 2. The Compass of Hope. The first light of dawn streamed down, piercing the cracks in the ceiling of the abandoned convenience store. The basement remained ice cold. However, for Marcus, who had just achieved a breakthrough in his enhancement phase, he felt a surge of vitality like never before. Marcus raised his hand to examine his back. The deep wound from the demon beast's claw the previous night had healed, leaving only faint traces of his elevation. This was the result of the hastily refined whey pill, which, despite its low purity, worked with a speed that defied common sense. This negligible increase in physical strength is still a long way from pushing me to the next level, Marcus muttered to himself, raising the steel pipe he used to strike the shadow cat, swinging it up and down 3 or 4 times. The pipe, which was once cumbersome, now felt as light as a small branch. The data from the divine will continued to flow within his consciousness. The data set did not explicitly specify Sarah's coordinates, but provided deep insight into her identity. Sarah was a former chief biopharmaceutical researcher at the Pineal Tech Corporation before the Apocalypse. She was one of the few who studied the function of the pineal gland and possessed superior proficiency in chemistry and substance filtration at a high level. Pineal Tech was originally located north of this city, about 200 kilometers away. A 200-kilometer journey in a world filled with zombies, mutated beasts, and savage raiders was a near-suicidal risk, with almost a 100% chance of death. This was, unless he had a rigorous travel plan and continuously upgraded his power. Marcus spent another hour scavenging for supplies. He found only 1 expired instant noodle pack, 3 bottles of drinking water with slight sediment, and a large quantity of emerald turtle moss growing in the dark corners of the store. He stared at the plant that most people viewed as mere trash, yet it was the key to human evolution. He returned to retrieve the 4 remaining zombie crystal cores from the can. Marcus decided to use them all to produce spirit-refining medicine for reserve, to be used in case of emergency. Most importantly, they would serve as capital for trade with any remaining survivors, exchanging them for necessary information or equipment. In this era of despair, nothing is free. Everything always has its price. Marcus left the basement. The intense sunlight allowed him to see the state of the city more clearly, partially collapsed skyscrapers, with gray dust swirling like a toxic fog. He decided to take the path of darkness, the abandoned sewer tunnels and subway lines. Although dark, damp, and potentially harboring creatures that favored the dark, it was safe from the eyes of the raiders who were ready to murder you for a small biscuit crumb, and the massive hordes of zombies on the surface, where one small mistake could lead to a hopeless encirclement. He descended to the underground to enter the subway tunnel. The odor of the tunnel was heavy with dampness, sewage, and the sickening smell of decaying corpses. Marcus cautiously walked along the rusty train tracks. He flicked his flashlight on and off every 30 seconds to conserve energy and reduce the chance of becoming a target for enemies lurking in the darkness. But suddenly, the sound of dozens of small footsteps echoed from the front. Marcus quickly shut off his flashlight. He knew the source of the sound was the demon of darkness, the gray rat, a level 1 beast. He immediately pressed himself against a concrete pillar and looked for a high place to hide. He spotted a fire pipe hanging from the ceiling and quickly leaped up to grab it. A swarm of about 16 gray rats, each the size of a house cat, with malevolent red glowing eyes, moved with speed and sharp scenting ability. The swarm ran past him, but the very last one stopped. It was the largest rat, with combat scars on his face. It was a level 1, Tier 9 beast. It lifted its head, its nose twitching rapidly, and let out a soft squeak. This scent, the scent of a level 1 human. Its eyes searched around for the source of the smell until they found Marcus, dangling from the ceiling, with those red eyes glowing in the darkness. Marcus knew that animal instincts are incredibly sharp, and he had been detected by the gray rat leader. He silently and slowly pulled his hunting knife from its sheath, then dropped down from the fire pipe, using the knife to strike the vital point he had aimed for. The hunting knife pierced its forehead and precisely went through its throat to seal its final sound. He had to deal with it as quickly as possible, before the swarm became suspicious and doubled back to surround him, leaving him no way to escape.